$150 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Terms and conditions apply.
This season, Chevy brings classic pairings, cookies and milk, mistletoe and kisses, and your holiday plans and a new Chevy. Silverado 1500 gives you power and capability with 430 pound-feet of torque to haul your holiday tree. The Equinox EV and all-new Equinox, America's best compact SUV for new vehicle quality by J.D. Power, offer both confidence and style to see you through the holiday season. It's easy to see why Chevy makes everything better and brighter. Find your red tag. Get 0% APR financing for 36 months on select popular Chevy models when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Award based on 2024 models for J.D. Power 2024 U.S. Initial Quality Study Award information. Visit jdpower.com/awards. Offer available on all 2025 Equinox and 2024 Silverado, Equinox EV, Blazer EV, and Silverado EV models. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment is 22.2%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 12/2/24.
Hey, Portasubs fans, ready for a deal that's big on taste but light on your wallet? Make it a combo for just $2. Just $2 more. You can upgrade with chips and a drink. Get more meal for your money and make your lunch a combo. Head to Portasubs and add chips and a drink for just $2. Offer available for a limited time only. Visit portasubs.com or order on our app.
Slice fresh sandwiches, Portasubs.
Real stories with Hellsberg.
I had the ring already. She had made it very clear what kind of ring she wanted.
Yep.
I pretended that I was going to kneel and picked up a pine cone instead of pulling out a ring.
What a jerk. But when I saw that ring, I was like, oh, he did good.
I really love Amy. I really, really genuinely love Amy.
I love you too.
At Hellsberg, find the engagement ring worthy of your story. Designed with the love, care, and craft it deserves. Visit a Hellsberg store or hellsberg.com.
Unbelievable savings at Superstar Car Wash. Lock in unlimited car washes for just $15 a month with our clean plan. Available at any of our 51 Arizona locations or online. Visit superstarcarwash.com for details. Terms and conditions apply.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
Made it to a football Friday. Welcome in, everybody, to the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060. Always on the KDUS AM 1060 app. And what a great way to start off the weekend. A fantastic Thursday night football game last night. Come on, you know the drill by now. That's today's Daily Special.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
How could I not start with my 4-point play on yesterday's program? We closed the show by saying we're in there. We are taking the Cincinnati Bengals plus the 6.5 as our 4-point play. And we're feeling good because before we even get to Sunday, 4 points in the bank. And what a game last night this was, as the Ravens defeat the Bengals 35-34. And this game had everything. It had everything that you worried about with the Cincinnati Bengals showed up. Everything that makes you excited about the Cincinnati Bengals showed up. Everything that you love about the Baltimore Ravens showed up in the second half. And everything you hate about the Ravens showed up in the first half. And when it was all said and done, the Ravens picked up a 35-34 victory to move to 7-3. The Bengals dropped to 4-6. And I guess we'll start outside of the 4-point play that we were able to pick up by picking the Bengals plus the 6.5, which was in question, even though it shouldn't have been. Bengals up 21-7 at half. I was feeling good. I was feeling excited. I was already counting the 4 points that were going into the bank because we've had a rough couple of weeks. It was nice to get a 4-point play already in the bag. And then the Baltimore Ravens scored 28 second half points, including 21 points in the fourth quarter to win the football game. And so it got a little scary. And I think the place that we have to start is with the end of the game, because the Cincinnati Bengals drive down the field to score a touchdown. And if they kick an extra point, they would have tied the game up at 35. And either the Ravens would have gone down the field and scored there, or the game would have gone to overtime. And this is the exact situation we talked about on Tuesday. This is the exact conversation we had when the Bucs played the Chiefs. And I think this game last night is a further example of, despite the results not going the Bengals' way, even though there were 2 penalties that were not called on the 2-point conversion play. We'll get to that in a second. You have to go for 2 in that spot. Your defense in the second half of that football game was Swiss cheese, traffic cones. You were stopping nobody in the second half. You allowed 21 fourth-quarter points. In no world are you kicking a field goal there or kicking the extra point there to make it a 1-point, to tie the game up at 35 and giving the Ravens either an opportunity to kick a field goal with one of the best field goal kickers of all time in Justin Tucker or to play for overtime. You ain't stopping the Ravens. You showed us that in the second half. So rather than that, I would rather put the ball in the hands of my best player. You know who the best player is on the Cincinnati Bengals? The quarterback, Joe Burrow, who had 428 yards and 4 touchdowns. You know who the second best player is on the Cincinnati Bengals? Jamar Chase, who had 11 catches for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. A nice day to have Jamar Chase on your fantasy team. I'm good. I've won the week already. I got my 4-point play. I have Jamar Chase as my fantasy wide receiver. Got me 56 fantasy points last night. Feeling really good in my league where Jamar Chase is my wide receiver 1. Now, I'm in a couple of leagues. He's not my wide receiver 1 completely across the board, but in the league where I'm starting to move up the standings, I'm right outside the top 3, knocking on the door of being a top 2 seed in that league. Jamar Chase is 56 points, and I also had Evan McPherson for his 12. Nobody cares about your fantasy team, but we're feeling good on a Friday after all of that. Those are the 2 best players on the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. I want those guys to have a chance to win me the football game. I want those guys to have a chance to run one play to put all the pressure on the Baltimore Ravens, because my defense isn't going to put the pressure on Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And Lamar had a great day as well, 290 yards through the air and 4 touchdowns. This was exactly the way their first game went. Their first game went to overtime. This one didn't. I don't fault the Bengals at all. Your defense is Swiss cheese. You were never stopping the Baltimore Ravens if they got to touch the ball again. You proved that with what went on in the fourth quarter. So you take your chance, you draw up a play, and look, they missed 2 penalties on the last play of the game, or at least the 2-point conversion play. They missed 2 penalties. They missed a hold, pass interference, whatever you want to call, on a tight end on the left side of the screen. And they also, I think it was Mike Gesicki who was out there running that route. It's either him or Tanner Hudson, but I think it was Gesicki. And then they missed a blow to the head of the quarterback. They missed 2 penalties they could have called on that play to give the Bengals another chance. Would it have mattered? Would they have scored the 2-point conversion on the next play? You don't know, but the officiating missed 2 penalties in a key spot. And look, what I don't understand about the NFL, and the NFL does a lot of great things, and the NFL is the number 1 sport in this country, and just for a reason. It's awesome. We live and breathe it here on the show. We're opening the show talking about a game that was played last night that didn't involve the Arizona Cardinals. It is the sport that dominates the airwaves. We have replay assist. We have the ability for New York or somebody in a booth or however the system is set up. We have the ability for somebody that isn't one of the officials on the field to get into their ear and say, hey, the ball needs to actually be here. Or no, we're overturning this because we saw. We have the ability to do that. Yet we are arbitrary in the way we want to apply that, because it's not subjective what occurred last night on that 2-point conversion play. It's clear to anybody. You can't do that to the quarterback, and that was a hold, pass interference, whatever you want to call it, on Mike Gesicki. There was a face mask against Joe Burrow earlier on that drive that was missed. Again, replay clearly sees tugged at the face mask. We can't replay assist that and say you should have called the penalty there. It's clear. It's not a judgment call. That's not safe or out at first base. Who touches the bag first? Although we can look at that and we see that. It's not, oh, is he being a little too handsy? No, he grabbed the face mask. That's a penalty. Hitting Joe Burrow above the neck area is a penalty. Replay assist can't get involved and say that those things need to be called. Then what do we have replay assist for? It baffles me that we've created this system with the intent of trying to get things right. But then there are glaring things that are easy to correct. These are not judgment calls, and yet replay assist just sits back watching the game like the rest of us. In those moments, they have as much power as we do watching the game at home. I do not understand how that can be the case. And so you come out of this game, if you're the Baltimore Ravens and you're feeling good, you won another divisional game, you got to 7-3, and we said yesterday, how would we be feeling about the Baltimore Ravens coming out of this game? Would we say missed opportunity, you're 6-4, I can't take you seriously as a contender or a threat to the Kansas City Chiefs? Or are you going to win the game and be 7-3 and we're going to feel really good about who you are as a team? Well, guess what? They win the football game. They're 7-3. Right now, the 5 seed, because the Pittsburgh Steelers have a better winning percentage because they played less games. The Baltimore Ravens have played 10 games so far. The Steelers at 6-2, so they'll play their 9th game upcoming. So we'll see what it looks like. But a team that feels like they're going to be threatening for one of the top 3 seeds in the AFC, potentially even one of the top 2 seeds. And if they're going to play the way they played last night, especially in the second half, then they have a chance to dethrone the Chiefs. But they got to play better defensively, and they have to have that consistency. They were down 21-7 at halftime. So they were struggling offensively in the first half. And for the Bengals, it's getting late early. You're 4-6. You're right now 9th in the AFC. You lost another divisional game to the Ravens. The Jets, who are coming into town, we'll talk a lot about them here on the show later today. If they win, they're going to tie you in the standings, so there's a chance that you might go behind them. The Colts are 4-5. See how they play on Sunday. But it's getting late early for the Cincinnati Bengals. What are they going to be able to do? Can they find 5 wins out of their final 7 games on the calendar? Because they're 4-6 right now. You would think you have to get to at least 9, and 9 may not be enough, but 9 at least gets you in the conversation. It at least opens the door for you. And they need to win 5 of their last 7 in order to do that. And I don't know if you can feel any way about that, considering the way they've played so far this season and how defensively they were Swiss cheese in the second half last night. 24 points in the fourth quarter. But I'm feeling good. We got 4 points in the bank. Good fantasy night for Jamar Chase. We're feeling good on a football Friday. Let's keep those vibes going on the other side. It's early. But would the Arizona Cardinals want a redo on the 2024 NFL Draft? That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Carving out time in your afternoon for the Doug Gottlieb Show right here on KDUS AM 1060, 100.7 HD2, and KDUS1060.com. Weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m.
Here in Flagstaff, Arizona, there are only 2 colors that matter: blue and gold. Coach Brian Wright leads NAU football into a new era.
Down the sideline, it's going to be a pick 6.
Join us Saturday. The Lumberjacks travel to Cali to play the Cal Poly Mustangs. Our coverage begins at 5 on the NAU Lumberjacks Sports Network.
NAU football on AM 1060 KDUS.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. When an injured worker left me a message that said, "You probably won't call me back. I'm just a nobody," I called him right back. Nobody's a nobody, and no one deserves a better firm than you.
When Morgan said nobody is a nobody, I felt like that. And they took care of me, and now we're doing okay. Thank God that I went to Morgan & Morgan.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. However, if left untreated, could lead to costly repairs. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage door is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repair. From simple repairs to upgrades, it's A1 from day one. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Our springs, rollers, and openers are tested by running them up and down, open and closed, all day, 24/7, so you can feel confident with every A1 garage door repair. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Keep those creepy crawlers outside by calling A1 Garage Door Service today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
Call today and take advantage of our $29.95 tune-up special.
Listener rewards for you with the KDUS 1060 app. Download today to hear all of the national and local shows you love. That's the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back to the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. Got you until 1 o'clock here on a Football Friday edition of the show. We're going to make our picks in hour number 2 of the program. We're still finalizing some of those picks, but we have 4 points in the bag already, and you'll love that because the points are really what matter more than the actual record. If you're going to win games, you want them to be those top confidence plays. So we've got our 4-point play in the bag already, so we've only got 5 plays to make, and we'll do that in hour number 2 of the program. You want to join the conversation, 480-864-1060 for you to join the show here on a Football Friday. We have a lot of football still to come here on the show. I saw an article yesterday, and I think everybody likes to go back and maybe redo drafts, right? It's fun to go back and look at the 2018, 2019, 2020, to go back, 5, 6, 7 years and say, hey, who would go number 1 now? With all this information, we have the benefit of hindsight. It doesn't really mean a whole lot, but now with the benefit of hindsight, what would a draft actually look like if we looked at it from the context of how these players have played so far? And I enjoy those. It's fun to go down and see what the butterfly effect would be and how different teams would be if they didn't get the quarterback, right? If Patrick Mahomes wouldn't fall to number 10 if we did a redraft, he would be the number 1 pick, and what that would do to the way we view teams in the NFL. It's just a fun little exercise. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't really change how we feel about these teams, but it's fun to play that butterfly effect out. Now, saw a story on Yahoo Sports by Jay Busby, and it was redrafting the 2024 NFL draft. And now let me just make something incredibly clear here off of the jump. Redrafting the draft that just happened basically halfway through the season feels like even more of a butterfly effect example than looking at it from years down the road. We don't have a complete picture on all of these guys. We don't know what Caleb Williams' career is going to look like. We don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to be this type of quarterback the rest of his career. We don't know what's going to happen with Brock Bowers or Joe Alt or Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta, just naming a few, right? What does Bo Nix's career look like in Denver? We don't know. And if anybody thinks that they know right now, I wouldn't listen to those people. Jaden Daniels has been awesome. Jaden Daniels in his rookie campaign has 9 touchdowns already, has almost 2,000 passing yards, has a QB rating of 106.7. He has been awesome as a rookie for the Washington Commanders. But it is not a guarantee that that's how he is going to play the rest of his career. And you just don't know. You don't know how teams are going to change, injuries, maybe a sophomore slump. You hit the rookie wall. You just never know what could happen. And it is too early, too small of a sample size to completely upend the apple cart. Are we going to react to this story? We absolutely are. Because I think everything I just said is a reason for why what this redraft says about the Arizona Cardinals is a little bit confusing. So we'll just go through the top 3 picks before we get to the Arizona Cardinals. So in this redraft, according to Yahoo Sports, the Chicago Bears, instead of taking Caleb Williams, would take Jaden Daniels. And the Washington Commanders, instead of taking Jaden Daniels, would take Caleb Williams. At number 3, the New England Patriots would continue with Drake May. So different order, but the same 3 quarterbacks go 1, 2, and 3. And then we get to number 4. And instead of taking Marvin Harrison Jr., this redraft of the 2024 NFL draft has the Arizona Cardinals taking Malik Nabers. And here is what they have to say about this change. Quote, "And now the debate begins. Harrison has been good but inconsistent in his debut. Nabers, when he's on the field, has been exceptional among rookies per PFF. Arizona goes for performance over potential, and the ripple effect begins." And then they have this graphic of numbers comparing Malik Nabers and Marvin Harrison Jr., and they're going to be the numbers that you heard us talk about earlier this week. Malik Nabers has more yards than Marvin Harrison Jr., more targets, more receptions, has less touchdowns, but Malik Nabers is beating Marvin Harrison Jr. in yards per game, in total targets, in receptions, is 2 behind him in touchdowns. That's where it stands. And I saw this story, and I clicked on it knowing they're going to make the overreactionary hot take move because of the performance so far and the lack thereof performance and based on what we thought Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to be able to do production-wise in year 1, and they're going to make the switch. I knew it before I even clicked on the story that that's where this was going to go. And here we are. And what I disagree with so strongly is not necessarily the change, because Malik Neighbors would be a good pick. He would have been a good pick at 4 at the time. If they decided to pick Neighbors over Marvin Harrison Jr., that would not have been a bad pick by the Arizona Cardinals. But what about these first 8 or 9 games for both of these receivers makes you think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to be a good, if not great, wide receiver in the NFL? He's had 2 really solid breakout performances. He hasn't stacked those performances together. He hasn't gone on a run like some of the other rookie wide receivers we've seen in the past. But is there anything about what you've seen in the early going that makes you not want Marvin Harrison Jr. on the Arizona Cardinals? If you were disappointed in the inconsistency from Marvin Harrison Jr., what makes you think that Malik Neighbors wouldn't have a similar output to Marvin Harrison Jr. in this offense with the way that it is structured? Is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s lack of production in comparison to the New York Giants because of Marvin Harrison Jr., or is it because of the offense? Is Malik Neighbors' target number, reception number, total numbers overall a product of how good he is, or is it a product of the Giants don't really have a lot of people to throw the ball to? They're down a lot, so they have to throw their way back into games, and so Malik Neighbors gets a lot of volume? Again, I don't want to diminish what either of these 2 players are doing, but I don't think Marvin Harrison Jr.'s quote-unquote down start to his career in comparison to Malik Neighbors has anything to do with Marvin Harrison Jr.'s skill set or his performance on the field. The inconsistencies, I think, have a large part due to the way this offense is structured, what they want to do, and when they have a lead, they lean on their running game. They run the football. There aren't a lot of targets to go around. In their win last week, Kyler Murray threw the ball 20 times. There were 9 targets between Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride combined. When you're only throwing the ball 20 times, there's not a lot of targets to go around. And so if you wanted to make the case of, well, with the way this offense is structured, maybe they should have taken a defensive player, maybe they should have taken Jared Verse, or maybe they should have taken an offensive lineman or Evan Williams, or whatever the case may be, because Evan Williams, who was a 4th-round pick in the 2024 draft, shoots all the way up to number 8 in this mock. But there's all these defensive players, corners that you could have. If you wanted to make that argument, I think I would at least entertain that argument more than saying, yeah, you know what, instead of taking Marvin Harrison Jr., they should just take the receiver that has produced more. Well, why has he produced more? Why has Marvin Harrison Jr. not produced as much? Because I have a pretty decent suspicion that if the pick was Malik Neighbors instead of Marvin Harrison Jr., we might be having a very similar conversation because of the way the offense is structured, because of the way they want to play football, the way they want to control the tempo by running the football. We had a conversation yesterday about the best player, the most important player on the Cardinals. You know who it is? It's James Conner. He's the identity of this football team. That's not going to change. That wouldn't change if Malik Neighbors was here and Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't. There's nothing that the Cardinals are not doing offensively because of Marvin Harrison Jr.'s skill set. He provides you everything you want as a wide receiver. So I would much rather have gone the route of picking a defensive player or picking an offensive lineman. That's at least an interesting conversation. Would the Cardinals be better off in 2024 and beyond if they would have addressed their pass rush issues through the draft, or if they would have gotten another corner through the draft? Right? That's an interesting conversation to have, because you can make the case of, well, they're still kind of winning without Marvin Harrison Jr. breaking out. The corner, we know their defense is struggling. They have injuries. They're still not complete as a group. They could get a pass rusher. That's a compelling argument, a conversation for us to have. We could have that debate. We could dissect if they had a redo, would they focus on the defensive side, because things are kind of working offensively with Marvin Harrison Jr. not having the best numbers in the world. But to just say, hey, we're just going to flip it back, we're going to take a different wide receiver. I don't want to use the L word and call it lazy, but I just don't think it's rooted in the spirit of what a redraft is all about. I don't know if it is in the spirit of understanding where the Cardinals are at and where the Giants are at. And so I saw this. I knew what it was going to be when I clicked on it. I saw it. I read the blurb, and I didn't get to a place where I agreed with the logic. Because Marvin Harrison Jr. has been good but inconsistent. Why couldn't we be sitting in a era where a timeline where Malik Nabers was the actual pick and the blurb reads like this in a redraft? And now the debate begins. Nabers has been good but inconsistent in his debut. Harrison Jr., when he's on the field, has been exceptional among rookies per PFF. Arizona goes for performance over potential, and the ripple effects begin. I just swapped the two names because in a timeline where they take Nabers over Marvin Harrison Jr., I think there's a pretty decent chance it's the same conversation. So I would have understood a corner. I would have understood a pass rusher. I would have even understood an offensive lineman. Switching wide receivers doesn't really feel like the Cardinals would all of a sudden feel better about. Would the Cardinals have more wins? Would the Cardinals have a better record? Would they be a better team if they had Malik Nabers on it than they had Marvin Harrison Jr.? Because you can't just take Malik Nabers' stats and say, oh, this is what he would have done with the Cardinals. Different team, different context, different everything over there in New York. So no, the Cardinals would not want to redo this early in the process. You're very happy with Marvin Harrison Jr. and the trajectory that he is on. You'd like to see more. You will see more. But you're 5-4 because of your identity as a football team, and changing who your wide receiver one is because of who you took with the number 4 overall pick wouldn't have changed that. Coming up on the other side, we continue to talk about Week 10 in the NFL with one game in the books. We can now turn our attention to Sunday slate. It's the NFL look ahead. It's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Have you downloaded the KDUS 1060 app yet? Download today and get all of your favorite local and national shows right on your phone.
License number 146316.
I'm back in action!
What in the...
Oh, Tasha! I got my magical operations license back.
Does that mean your lamp passed inspection?
Yes!
I'm so happy for you, Jeannie.
They even said that they would be responsible if anything fails for the next 500 years.
Great news.
That's the same as ASAP commercial doors. Right, Tasha?
If we inspect your door and everything is working properly, we will take responsibility for it.
Amazing!
Jeannie, why are you laughing like that?
Because now the stupid Genie High Council can go suck an egg.
Jeannie?
ASAP commercialdoors.com.
The council is a bunch of jerks.
Don't think you should say that.
The only thing worse than hiring no law firm after your injury is hiring the wrong law firm. And there are so many of them. When thousands of people call us every year asking to help them change law firms and hire us instead, I wonder why they ever called the other firm in the first place. They were smart to switch before it was too late. You only get one day in court. You know who has the resources and results to fight to handle your claim. And the big insurance company on the other side, they know it too. They know us well. You have to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, and know when to walk away. Walk our way. When you're fighting to get what you deserve, it's go big or go home. We are big for a reason, which is why we've recovered over $9 billion for our clients. When it comes to law, size matters. We're America's largest injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Exciting news from the Window Depot. Their brand new location is now open near Cave Creek and Bell Road. Discover the largest selection of vinyl windows, doors, cabinets, skylights, countertops, and more. Planning a remodel? Their experts are here to make your vision a reality with exclusive special order options and a wide selection of in-stock inventory available to go home today. For the best price and the biggest inventory, visit one of their 3 Valley locations or shop online at thewindowdepot.com. The Window Depot, more than a window store.
If you're a skilled trade person with a journeyman card from a registered apprenticeship, we've got an exciting opportunity just for you from Gateway Community College. Introducing the Journeyman to Associate's degree program at Gateway, where your expertise earns you more than just a paycheck. Our Credit for Prior Learning program allows you to turn your industry credentials into college credit, putting you on the fast track to earning an associate degree without starting from square one. To see if you qualify, visit gatewaycc.edu/journeyman. That's gatewaycc.edu/journeyman to get started. Gateway, Maricopa Community College.
Football fans, it's Mellow Mondays, so join the Rooster at Mellow Mushroom off the I-17 and Happy Valley Road between 5 and 6 p.m. every Monday night during football season. to the program, The Lunch Break, KDUS AM 1060. We appreciate you being here. 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to join the conversation here today on the program, a Football Friday edition of the show. And we do it every single Friday. We get you ready for the upcoming weekend of football action. It is our NFL look ahead. So let's get it started. We start with a very early contest. And I don't know who thought this was a good idea at the time. It's certainly not a good idea now. But at 7:30 a.m., we're all going to get up. At least I am, because I'll probably have something on. In Munich, Germany, the Giants will take on the Panthers. You know, the NFL wants to grow the game internationally. I would suggest not putting teams that are a combined 4-14 in your international contest. I would maybe say, hey, you know what? Let's get some good teams. Because here's the best part. You didn't need a crystal ball to know the Giants and Panthers weren't going to be good this season. Like, you didn't need to let the season play out to be like, oh, man, the Giants, they got so unlucky. They're 2-7. Like, man, this is so unfortunate. No, everybody thought the Giants were going to be bad. Everybody thought the Panthers were going to be bad. Yet, nope, 4-14. Here you go, Germany. Get excited about NFL football. We'll give you the Giants and the Panthers. The Giants 6.5-point favorites. That tells you all you need to know about where the Panthers are at right now. The Giants 6.5-point favorites in Munich, Germany. Daniel Jones going to get the start in this game. Giants not considering a change to Drew Lock at least yet. We will see how that works after this game, but that is your early game, 7:30 a.m. At least it's not 6:30, at least because of the time change for everybody else. We get an extra hour of sleep before we have to wake up and watch Giants, Panthers. Listen, I have given you warnings on the show before. Do yourself a favor. Don't get up that early for the game. Just don't do it. Enjoy the sleep. The Patriots will take on the Bears. The Bears looking for a bounce back, dropping their last two. They are 6-point favorites at home. Not a surprise that they would be this large of a favorite against a Patriots team that is not playing good football, starting a rookie quarterback, trying to find themselves. Litmus test, first year for a rookie head coach, first-year head coach. You're trying to just get the lay of the land. You're trying to figure everything out. That's exactly what the Patriots are doing. The Bears 6-point favorites at home against the Patriots. The Bills will travel on the road to take on the Indianapolis Colts. The Bills firing on all cylinders right now. Josh Allen, 2,000 passing yards already, 17 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. No surprise that the Bills are 4-point favorites on the road in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis for this one. The Bills right now are positioning themselves as the number 2 seed and the top threat to take down the Kansas City Chiefs. Until they do it, though, people are going to be suspicious of their ability to do so. The Bills trying to continue to ride the hot hand, continue to show what they have shown for the last month or so, and they will go on the road to Indy to take on the Colts. The Chiefs will welcome in the Broncos. You can listen to that game right here on KDUS AM 1060. The pregame starts at 10:30. The Chiefs will welcome the Broncos. Kansas City, 7.5-point favorites. I'll tell you, I'm considering it. The Schubert 6 is not finalized. I've got about 7 or 8 games that I'm considering for this week. And I'll tell you right now, this is one of the games that I'm considering, the Kansas City Chiefs. It hasn't been pretty. Patrick Mahomes has 11 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He's turning the ball over more than we've seen him turn the ball over in recent vintage. But they are finding ways to win football games. And the Broncos, look, they're 5-4. If they want to maybe just break out of that tier of teams where you're waiting for them to fall back to earth, and I think the Steelers are in that tier. I think the Broncos are in that tier. I think there are a couple of teams in that tier where you're like, yeah, you're doing great early. I'm going to respect what your record says you are, but I'm not all the way in yet. I'm going to wait a couple more weeks. If the Broncos want to solidify that they're out of that tier, being the first team to knock off the Kansas City Chiefs and doing it on the road in Kansas City, that would go a long way towards breaking out of that tier and you starting to be taken more seriously as a team. The Falcons will travel on the road to take on the Saints. This one's scary. The Falcons, 3.5-point favorites on the road. They're 6-3, 3-0 on the road this year. They've dominated in the division, but the Saints just fired their head coach. They have that first game bump This is not a made-up thing. Teams, the first game after they fire their head coach, normally overperform what they've been doing. That's how the Panthers picked up their first win this season. They made the quarterback change to Andy Dalton. When you make sudden change like that, it normally instills just a renewed energy into the team. It's short-lived. It doesn't really last longer than the week. And so you look at this and you say, man, how is Atlanta only 3.5-point favorite on the road in New Orleans? You should hammer this one. I'm not so sure. I'm a little concerned about this one only because of the first game bump that the Saints might get. The 49ers will travel on the road to take on the Bucs. They are 6.5-point favorites. Looks like they're going to have Christian McCaffrey back, but they fall victim to a principle that I believed in for a long time. The West Coast team going east to play the early slate game. You have to worry about those games. And the 49ers are traveling all the way to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs. They last played at home against the Cowboys, so it's not like they were already on the East Coast and they just stayed. And so this is one to keep an eye on. But the 49ers getting healthier, needing to go on a run. They're playing a banged-up Bucs team that just it feels like the health has gone against them and that they are slowly spiraling downward. So this will be an interesting one. Can the Bucs stay in the hunt in the NFC, or is this the start of the run for the 49ers? 11 a.m., this is the one that you are going to want to probably put most of your attention towards, I think, in the early slate. Because you have, just doing some quick math, you don't have another game, and you have one other game in this slate that has two teams with an above 500 record. The Broncos and the Chiefs is the other game. But if you have the Sunday ticket, if you're going to focus on one game in the morning, it should be the 6-2 Steelers going on the road to take on the 7-2 Washington Commanders. The Commanders 2.5-point favorites. They will not have Marshawn Lattimore. He's going to be out this Sunday as he rehabs from that hamstring injury. They're not going to rush him back, but they're 7-2 without him. He just got there in large part because Jaden Daniels, 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, close to 2,000 passing yards already. We talked a little bit earlier in the show. If there was a redraft, he would be the number 1 overall pick to the Bears. He's not. He is the quarterback of the Washington Commanders, who are 4-0 at home this season and are 2.5-point favorites against the Steelers. The Vikings look to build some momentum as they will travel to Jacksonville to take on the 2-7 Jags, who will not have Trevor Lawrence in this football game. This is going to be interesting, right? Keep an eye on if Trevor Lawrence is going to play in this game. It doesn't look good for him to be able to play. Cam Robinson is going to return 2 weeks after getting traded. This feels like a nice spot for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't want to tip my hand just yet, but doesn't look like Trevor Lawrence is going to play. Minnesota, less than a touchdown favorite, 6.5 points. The Jags, 2-7. They haven't been right with Trevor Lawrence. It doesn't look like they would be right without him. Then we get into the afternoon. The Titans traveling on the road to take on the Chargers. The Chargers, 7-point favorites at home. The total for this game, 38.5. I always like to point out these totals in the 30s. The only other one is the Patriots and the Bears, which is also at 38.5. You got two teams that, on one side, the Chargers, they're very comfortable playing a very slow football game. They are very comfortable. We don't need all the possessions. We don't need all the plays. We're just going to run the ball. We're going to play good defense. We're going to play low-scoring games. That's who we are. That's who our coach is. We're fine. And then you have the Titans, who are bad offensively. So they're not going to be able to go up and down the field, I don't think, on this Chargers defense. So the Chargers 7-point favorites at home. I think the thing you worry about there is because they just control the tempo so much. It's such a major part of what they do. Can the Chargers cover the 7, or is the game just going to be close because of the way the Chargers play? We'll keep an eye on that. The Eagles taking on the Cowboys. The Eagles 7.5-point favorites on the road. This is all because no Dak Prescott, right? The Cowboys 3-5, still looking for their first home win of the year. They're 0-3 at home. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts dealing with an ankle injury at practice. I got to be honest with you, I don't know if it's going to matter. The Cowboys are a mess. They don't have their starting quarterback. Cooper Rush is going to be the starter. I don't think that's going to work very well. The Eagles can run the football with Saquon Barkley, even with a diminished Jalen Hurts. 7.5 is a big number, but the Eagles look primed to continue their hot streak, and the Cowboys look primed to continue their downward spiral. And then the last game for us to discuss here, Sunday Night Football. And this is one. How much time do I have? Do I have enough time to go on a lengthy rant here about this game? Okay, fantastic. The 7-1 Lions going on the road to take on the Houston Texans. We told you earlier that the game that you're going to want to keep on the television is Steelers-Commanders. In the afternoon, you're obviously going to be watching Jets-Cardinals. You might poke around the red zone and see what's going on in these other games. But at 6:20, there's nothing better. You're going to be able to sit back. You're going to be able to just unwind, potentially after a Cardinals victory over the Jets, talking about the 6-4 Cardinals. And you're going to watch a battle between two teams that have above 500 records, that are the buzzy teams in the NFL. The Lions, my personal number one team in the NFL so far this season. And the Houston Texans, who are looking to bounce back from what was a terrible performance against the New York Jets and looking to show that their record is real, that their 6-3 record is indicative of who they are. And they are looking for a bounce back. Detroit, 3.5-point favorites. The total 48.5 for this one. This is going to be a good football game. Because while I don't think Houston is as good as maybe their record indicates, and you saw that when they weren't favored against the Jets on the road and the Jets beat them pretty handedly, the Texans are still a good football team. C.J. Stroud taking a small step backwards, but he is still a good quarterback. And so this is a huge opportunity, the national spotlight on this team, on this game. I am very excited to unwind after being at the Jets-Cardinals game, getting home and being able to put on Lions-Texans and enjoy what is going to be a fun way to end the weekend. Then Monday, you got Dolphins-Rams. We will obviously get into that more on Monday's show. But that is your Week 10 NFL look ahead. Don't get up early for Giants-Panthers. Put all your attention on Steelers-Commanders in the early slate. Then you got Jets-Cardinals, and then do yourself a favor. Make sure everything's done so you can sit down and watch Lions-Texans Sunday night. I think you're going to be in for a real treat for that game, and it might be a play for the Schubert 6 in hour number 2. But we'll wrap up hour number 1 here on the other side. If the Cardinals are going to win on Sunday, it will be because we'll do it next. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
I'll turn those picks into gold. Wall-to-wall NFL coverage and the biggest stories coming to you from 3 to 5 p.m. The Rich Eisen Show here on KDUS AM 1060 and KDUS1060.com.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Terms and conditions apply.
There are many signs that you may be in financial trouble. Late mortgage payments, paying bills from your retirement account, or paying one credit card with another. If you're experiencing financial hardship, bankruptcy may be right for you. The credit industry wants you to believe that bankruptcy is bad and will destroy your credit forever, but that's just not true. At Lerner Rowe Law Group, we'll take the time to carefully examine your situation and develop a plan that is right for you. Call Lerner Rowe Law Group today for a free consultation.
Lerner and Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Sean Forster, Managing Attorney.
The holidays are a magical time to get engaged. At Shane Company, we're here to help you create your dream engagement ring in just 3 easy steps. Choose a setting that speaks to your style. Compare diamonds and colorful gemstones in all shapes and sizes. Then personalize it with a decorative crown and special engraving. Or choose a perfectly preset ring that's ready to go. At Shane Company, you'll find everyday competitive prices, a no-pressure environment, and an unmatched free lifetime warranty. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Teeth are amazing. That's why at Affordable Dentures and Implants, they believe it's time the world sees your smile. With new financing options available, you don't need to wait to get your smile back. 6 practices in the Phoenix area open to serve you. Schedule a free new smile consultation. Call 1-800-DENTURE or visit AffordableDentures.com to find a location near you. Services provided by an Arizona licensed general dentist. Affordable Dentures and Implants. Go ahead and smile.
Go ahead and smile.
Check out the Doug Gottlieb Show, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back to the program. Football Friday edition of the Lunch Break. KDUS AM 1060. We appreciate you joining us on your lunch break during our lunch break. We did make it to a Friday. This is rare. I'm staring into the control room and I see producer Dylan and producer Corey together. This is very weird. Normally it's just one of you in the room. Now both of you are in there. And just I hope that means we're on the air and things are going okay. Okay, I got a double thumbs up from the boys over there. It's never good when there's multiple. In radio, when you're in a control room, it's perfect when you're by yourself. If you look and there's multiple people huddled over the equipment, it's never a good sign. Normally something terrible has gone wrong. So glad to know that everything's okay in there. If you want to talk to both producer Dylan and producer Corey, 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to do so. Already got 4 points in the bank after the Bengals last night. We'll do the Schubert 6 in hour number 2 of the program. Still finalizing those picks. We've been struggling. Overall, we're at 500. We're 9-9 so far this year, 3-3 last week. So we need to go on a little bit of a run. Nice that we already have one win in the books with the Bengals and the 6.5 that we took last night against the Ravens. The Cardinals are 1.5 point, at least the last time I looked, they were 1.5 point dogs to the New York Jets on Sunday, when they will welcome in the team from East Rutherford, New Jersey. They will welcome in Aaron Rodgers, who has some history with that building, has some history with this franchise, and doing some things that I'm sure most of you remember doing here in a very key game for the Arizona Cardinals. And I've watched Aaron Rodgers throw Hail Marys against a lot of different teams, and this is one of the teams that he did it against. But we, last week, gave you the case on both sides. If the Cardinals win on Sunday, what will we be talking about on Monday? If the Cardinals lose on Sunday, what will be the reasons why? What will we come in here on Monday and complain about? So let's start with the positive. Let's say that the Cardinals win on Sunday. Why will they win on Sunday? What will be the reason or reasons that they win on Sunday? And I think uniquely with this game, it's a lot about what they can do, but also about the team that they're facing. And so let's start with the Cardinals side of it. They will continue to dominate in the trenches, and they will run the ball at a top level against a run defense in the New York Jets that has been really bad this year. If there is a weakness for this Jets defense, they're top 10 across the board in a lot of different stuff. The weakness, where you can attack them, is with their run defense. It is not very good. And so it plays right into how the Arizona Cardinals want to operate offensively. They want to run the football. They want to control the tempo. They want to dictate the pace. They want to win in the trenches up front. They feel pretty confident in what their group is going to be able to do. And so if they are going to win on Sunday, it's going to be because James Conner has another James Conner-like performance. It's going to be because this team is rushing for over 125, 150 yards on the ground. Because when they do that, they're going to keep this defense on the field. They're going to keep the Jets offense off the field. And it's going to allow the Arizona Cardinals to play their brand of football. When you want to be a run-first team, when you do it, when you're able to get into your flow state, when you're able to get into the rhythm of what you want to do, you're a really tough team to beat. Because the game script is in your favor. And if you're able to dominate up front, there's not a whole lot that the opposing team can do to get the game script back. It takes a bad snap that gets fumbled. It takes punching the ball out on a run. It takes a lucky fluke turnover type play in order to flip the game script on its head. When you play this style of football, when you're this type of team. And so if the Cardinals are going to win on Sunday, it is going to be because they continue to dominate running the football. We continue to see James Conner be the identity of this football team. We continue to see James Conner be the leader, be the culture, the tone setter for this team. That is one of, if not the most important reason they win on Sunday. Now, you already know what we're going to say here. You already know what the next thing on this list is, because it is the statistic that we have continued to point out over and over and over again. They're 5-0 when it happens. They're 0-4 when it doesn't. And I don't think it's one of those statistics that you say you have to do this. I think it's one of those statistics that points out that when the Cardinals are succeeding, this type of stuff happens for them. But they are 5-0 this season, and they are 0-4 when it doesn't happen. But they are 5-0 that at the end of the game, when you look at the box score, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride are the top two target getters on this team in some capacity. When that doesn't happen, when those two guys aren't getting, and this isn't receptions, this is just targets. This is just opportunities going their way. When that happens, they're undefeated. When it doesn't, for whatever reason, injuries, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. with the concussion, Trey McBride maybe leaves the game for a little bit, whatever the case may be. They're 0-4 when it doesn't happen. They're 5-0 when it does. And again, it's not one of those things where you see these statistics all the time. A team is 17-2 when they rush the ball 25 or more times. That's not an excuse to run the ball 25 straight times to satisfy that statistic. That just shows that when you're at your best, when you have balance, and that balance normally allows you to run the ball more than normal, and you can have those types of numbers. In this case, this isn't every target has to go to one of these two guys to satisfy the statistic. It just points out when this team is playing their best football, it's because they're getting their two major playmakers heavily involved in what they are doing. And it shouldn't be a surprise that when that happens, they can play their best brand of football. They can play the complementary football that they want to play. When they're maybe unable to get those guys involved because of the way the defense is covering them, or because for whatever reason the game script is calling for somebody else to be involved early, that's when they struggle. This offense, this passing offense, goes as Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride go. So we are going to continue to point it out until it no longer becomes a thing. The focal point of this passing offense are those two gentlemen, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride. 5-0 this season, when at the end of the game you look up and the target share shows that those two guys were 1 and 2 in some order. When that happens, the Cardinals win, because that means they're running the offense the way they want to run their offense. And so the reverse engineering of that is you got to get those guys involved early and often and set yourself up, set them in rhythm, set your passing offense in rhythm, so that when it gets to the fourth quarter, where we know this team has thrived, they've been able to win games in the fourth quarter, 3 comeback wins already this season, that you have those guys in flow, in rhythm, and they're able to make plays. So those are the two things from the Cardinals' perspective. I think there's one thing from the Jets' perspective that will be really clear if the Cardinals win this game on Sunday, at least in my opinion. If the Cardinals win on Sunday, it's going to be because the New York Jets are who we thought the New York Jets were. They are who we thought they are. The Jets are a flawed, inconsistent team. They're a team that only has 3 wins to start the year. They're a team that had to fire their head coach. They're a team that had to go out and make a trade for Devontae Adams. They're a team that hasn't put it together offensively. Before last week, their only wins were against rookie head coaches. They go through phases where they commit abysmal penalties, set NFL records for penalties. Aaron Rodgers turns the ball over too much, makes silly mistakes. The Cardinals win on Sunday, it is going to be because the New York Jets are a flawed and inconsistent football team. The Cardinals will win on Sunday because the Jets are who we thought they were, a team with an aging quarterback. A team with a about to be 41-year-old quarterback who is coming off of an Achilles injury and has not looked anything like the back-to-back MVP version of Aaron Rodgers, and not even the Aaron Rodgers in 2022 before he got to the New York Jets, when he was dealing with a thumb injury. The Cardinals will win on Sunday because the New York Jets have a banged-up offensive line to where they are cross-training their first-round pick at both tackle and guard this week. The Cardinals will win on Sunday because the New York Jets are who we thought they were. They have a first-time head coach who has given up or who is trying to manage the defense while also running the team, and the defense has suffered a little bit at times. That is how the Cardinals will win on Sunday. Because the New York Jets, of the first 8 games of the season, show up, and not the team that won last Thursday against the Houston Texans. That is how the Cardinals win this game on Sunday. That is why we would be talking about a Cardinals win on this show on a Reaction Monday. That is how. You look at this game and you say, I'm not buying what the New York Jets did last week as a long-term thing. They've got to prove it. They've got to show me something before I'm going to be scared about the 3-6 New York Jets. Are you really scared about about to be 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers walking into the building? The only way you would be scared is if you thought what they did against Houston unlocked something. You would only be scared if you thought that they are on the cusp of turning a corner and that the Arizona Cardinals are going to be the punching bag for them to turn that corner. But I don't know how you can look at the totality of their season so far and tell me that this isn't just a blip in the positive direction for them and they're not going to go right back to who they were leading up to this game. The team that lost 5 in a row. The team that got embarrassed by the Patriots. A team that lost a game they shouldn't have lost to the Broncos. That lost a game they shouldn't have lost to the Steelers. One game is going to completely change that? I don't think so. So the Cardinals win on Sunday because they continue to do what they do best. They run the football. They stay true to their identity. Because the Jets can't stop the run. The Jets are not going to be able to hold James Conner to under 50 yards. Maybe we'll come in here and we'll cut that up and we'll have to play that on Monday and I'll get old takes exposed. Maybe I'll be wrong. I don't think I will be, though. Watch this Jets team pretty regularly. They have a tough time stopping the run. And so that is playing directly into the strengths. Remember a couple of weeks ago, and I keep bringing it up because we were so wrong about it, but we talked about the Chargers' strengths matching up with the Cardinals' weaknesses. It's the reverse. The Cardinals' strength offensively plays directly into what the Jets don't do well. Kyler Murray, as a mobile quarterback that can extend plays against a pass rush that hasn't been able to consistently get home this season, bodes well for Kyler Murray. So they continue to dominate the trenches. They run the ball. Now, the other part of this, too, is that they're able to get home against a weakened offensive line for the New York Jets. So when we talk about dominating the trenches, a lot of the focus that we spent there was on the offensive side. But there is a focus on the defensive side. There is a focus on an offensive line that has a lot of guys on the injury report. Morgan Moses has been banged up. Tyron Smith has been banged up. They're cross-training their first-round pick at tackle and guard. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts. They're not a assembled, gelled unit yet. And so that's how you can dominate both trenches. And if the Cardinals dominate both trenches, they will win the football game. Because the Jets have shown they do not have the ability to come from behind. Part of their 5-game losing streak was because they were unable to seal the deal in the fourth quarter. Well, the Cardinals have sealed the deal in the fourth quarter this season. 3 come from behind wins already. They have done what people thought Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets were going to be able to do. So if they dominate the trenches, they get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride involved. And if the Jets team of the first 8 weeks of the season shows up, then the Arizona Cardinals will win on Sunday, and that will be how we start the show. That is how the Daily Special will start on Monday. It will be discussing those things actually happening. It will be us talking about a huge game from James Conner, how Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride broke out. And the New York Jets, who are somehow a 1.5-point favorite, on the road, just like they were surprisingly a favorite at home against the Texans. We will be talking about a quote-unquote upset win for the Arizona Cardinals, an underdog win, in air quotes, for the Arizona Cardinals. I've been on record. It's not a part of the Schubert 6. I think the Cardinals win this game, and it is going to be because all of those things show up on Sunday. Now, I'll be honest, I'm going to the game. My dad is in town. We're going to the game wearing our Jets jerseys. I am not rooting for the Cardinals in this game on Sunday. I want to make it particularly clear. But I think they win the football game. I think they are the better football team right now. And when they are the better football team, they win the game. But that's the recipe. That's how they do it. They followed the recipe last week to a T against the Bears, and it led to a victory. This recipe is even more favorable. It's just exactly what they've been doing. They just continue to do it. Hour number 2, right around the corner. We will start by taking a quick timeout from football. There's a baseball conversation. The Diamondbacks, they're getting calls. Should they entertain moving one of their top starting pitchers? That's how we'll open hour number 2 of the lunch break next. KDUS AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
It's the NFL on Sports USA, and we're at Arrowhead as the Denver Broncos ride into Kansas City to face the Chiefs. The Broncos have Bo under center, and if he takes off running, it's Knicks for 6. The Super Bowl champion Chiefs are working on their title thanks to Hunt, Kelsey, and Mahomes.
And he's going deep, got a man open inside the 10, at the goal line, touchdown! It's a perfect throw from Mahomes.
It's the Broncos at the Chiefs, this Sunday on Sports USA.
Broncos Chiefs on AM 1060 KDUS.
At Navy Federal Credit Union, every day is Veterans Day. Navy Federal Credit Union is proud to serve the military community for over 90 years. In fact, Navy Federal serves more than 2 million veterans every day. 45% of their employees are directly tied to the military, so Navy Federal understands the needs of the veterans they serve. Navy Federal also donates to not-for-profits focused on veterans, like the Mission Continues. At Navy Federal Credit Union, our members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/veterans. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Wendy's breakfast burrito has an entire breakfast in every bite. Fresh cracked eggs, seasoned potatoes, American cheese, cheese sauce, and sausage or bacon. So the first bite is like fresh cracked American cheese sauce. Bacon. And the second bite is like fresh cracked American cheese sauce. Bacon.
You get the idea. And now, get yours with $1 any size soft drink. Gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Exclusions apply.
Hi, I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Recently, Lerner Rowe was named the second most influential law firm in the United States. Although we have offices in other parts of the country, Glenn and I both live here and raise our families here. We are your local law firm. No other law firm in the state comes close to the experience, reputation, and results as Lerner & Rowe. When you're hurt in a wreck and need a check, call the law firm that can get you the results you need. Call Lerner & Rowe.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Hello, everybody. Eric Bryan, owner of Precision Air and Plumbing. Last year, I warned you that AC prices were on the rise due to new regulations, and that's exactly what happened. In January of 25, we'll see much of the same, but don't sweat it. If you call Precision, we're offering $3,500 off any new AC unit, but this deal won't last long, so act fast. Make the Precision decision today and call us at 602-FIX-MY-AC.
Decision with Precision Air.
Don't let erectile dysfunction impact your performance. It's a common medical condition, and there's no shame in seeking help. Arizona Urology Specialist, personal care for life's most personal issues. Visit ArizonaURO.com or call 602-887-2160. AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hour number 2 of the program. Welcome in the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. Got you for one more hour. We appreciate you joining us here on your lunch break. During our lunch break, 480-864-1060 is the phone number for you to join the conversation on this Football Friday edition of the show. We're taking one of our 3 timeouts that we are allotted here on the show from the Football Friday. Talk a little baseball because the MLB GM meetings are going on, and it is being made very clear by those in the know that one of the teams that is getting a lot of phone calls, that is getting a lot of interest in their team, is the Arizona Diamondbacks. They have emerged as a team, at least according to this story in The Athletic by Will Salmon and Patrick Mooney. They are receiving significant interest from other teams that are looking to improve their starting rotation. And the story mentions that rival executives are looking at the Diamondbacks because they have more options, more quality. They are the interesting team to pay attention to. And the story mentions Zac Gallen. It mentions Merrill Kelly. It mentions the entire starting rotation for this team and mentions that the Diamondbacks have to at least listen because they have things that they need to address and the money is against them. So we are going to normally you set the stage for this and you start to slowly ramp it up. I'm just going to kick the door down on this. And again, 480-864-1060, because when you make a statement like this, when you have a take like this and you kick the door down, it gets people fired up. So I'm prepared for the backlash that's going to come with this. I'm very prepared. I think it is time for the Arizona Diamondbacks to strongly consider moving Zac Gallen. I believe this is the offseason for them to make this move, in large part because it is the last offseason for them to consider this move. And if they don't, I think it is going to have some serious ramifications for the long term. This is a math problem for the Arizona Diamondbacks. We've talked a lot about what their projected payroll is right now, what their projected end-of-year payroll was last year. Let's just look at this in actual dollars. Their salary cash number last year was 14th in Major League Baseball at $189 million. Their tax number, what counted against the luxury tax, was 13th in all of baseball at $219 million. That is below the first threshold of $237. The threshold moves up to, I believe it is $241 for this season. So 14th at $189 million in actual cash. Tax number was $219, 13th in the league. Right now, as we sit here, according to Spotrac, they ranked 13th in salary cash for this upcoming season at $110 million. So a difference of $79 million right now to where their number was last year in cash. And their tax number right now is $131 million. Again, around another $80 million or so below the tax. Now, I think it's incredibly fair and incredibly reasonable to make the suggestion that those numbers from 2024, $189 million in salary cash, the tax number being $219 million, those numbers are going to come down this season. Now, maybe I'm proven wrong on this, but I don't think this organization is going to continue to spend at those limits. They missed the playoffs last year. They didn't get the playoff revenue like they did the year prior when they made a run to the World Series. Yes, attendance was up, but the reason why they had the expanded budget was not because it was completely in line with what they made. It wasn't a complete reinvestment of what they made in the postseason directly into the team. It was, hey, we're going to increase the budget. We might actually increase the budget a little bit more because we had such a good year last year. We know the season ticket sales are going to be better. We know there are going to be more people in the ballpark. So that's might already be caked in to what last year's number was. So those numbers are going to come down. Right now they sit at $110 million. For total cash, so 79 off of what last year's number was. So again, we don't think it's going to be 189. We don't know necessarily what the number is going to be, but it is going to come down from 110 million. And that doesn't include the arbitration players. It doesn't include $14 million projected for Zac Gallen or $3 million for a bunch of relievers that are in the bullpen. And so that's going to bring that number up. And so we might be looking at a place where their cash is already pretty close, bumping up pretty strongly with their number from last year. So freeing up a potential $14 million by trading Zac Gallen might be the best way for the Arizona Diamondbacks to improve their team in 2025. Trading the ace, the number one guy on your staff, being the best way for you to improve your team feels like an oxymoron. But here's why. He's a free agent at the end of this season. At the end of 2025, Zac Gallen is going to hit the free agent market. Spotrac projects his market value to be in the range of 6 years, $138 million. That breaks down to an annual average value of 23.1, meaning that's what would count against the luxury tax for the entire run of the contract for the Diamondbacks. So they might be able to play with the number a little bit and change the cash allocation around, but against the tax, he's going to count for $23.1 million. Do we think right now that the Diamondbacks will make that type of deal an offer to Zac Gallen? Do we think the Diamondbacks want to make that deal happen? He is a Scott Boras client, is Zac Gallen. It is going to be a drawn-out process. Just watch the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Just watch Sean Manaea, who's another Boras client that's a starting pitcher. Watch Pete Alonso. These things take a while. Are the Diamondbacks willing to play ball? Are they willing to do that? You know how these negotiations are going to go. Is that something the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to want to do? And if the answer is no to that, then it needs to be trade him now, get something for him. So yeah, there's pain now. But imagine what that $14 million that you freed up could do to your team. You have a rotation that I think people feel pretty strongly about. Merrill Kelly, Brennan Fott, Ryan Nelson, Eduardo Rodriguez is a solid 4. You have Yilber Diaz as a young option who got some time last year but is in the minors. That $14 million might be better used elsewhere, improving the offense and the bullpen, than it would be to Zac Gallen. Because then you also can add in the prospects that you would recoup in a potential trade for Zac Gallen. Now, he is a Boras client, so anybody that's going to trade for him knows he's more than likely going to see free agency out. And so the prospect haul is not going to be as great. But to me, the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to be under a little bit of a cash crunch this winter. There's a math problem here. The one solution to solving that math problem is trading Zac Gallen, and it needs to get serious thought. Coming up on the other side, it is the Schubert 6. We make our 5 picks for this weekend. We'll do it next. It's the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Bringing you the latest sports topics weekly right here on KDUS AM 1060 with me, the Doug Gottlieb Show, 1 to 3 p.m.
Here in Flagstaff, Arizona, there are only 2 colors that matter: blue and gold. Head coach Brian Wright leads NAU football into a new era.
Down the sideline, it's going to be a pick 6.
Join us Saturday. The Lumberjacks travel to Cali to play the Cal Poly Mustangs. Our coverage begins at 5 on the NAU Lumberjacks Sports Network.
NAU football on AM 1060 KDUS.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Call A1 Garage today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1 from day one.
As a business owner, you wear a lot of hats. One minute you're ordering today's inventory, and the next you're planning tomorrow's expansion. It's complicated, but your business credit card should be simple. With the Signify Business Cash Card by Wells Fargo, you earn unlimited 2% cash rewards on purchases for your business with no caps or categories to track. Signify Business Cash, the deliberately simple business credit card. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/signify. Terms apply.
Hello, everybody. Eric Bryan, owner of Precision Air and Plumbing. Before you know it, the temperatures will be dropping into the 30s. Is your heating system ready? For a limited time, we're offering a heating tune-up for $59.95. Don't wait until the last minute. Make sure your heating system is up to the task of handling Arizona's cold desert weather. Call Precision Air and Plumbing today at 602-FIX-MY-AC.
Precision decision with Precision Air.
Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The Ravens are considered one of the top teams in the NFL, but if we learned anything from last night's win over the divisional rival Bengals is the Ravens are far from the powerhouse we saw in 2023. Baltimore ranked inside the top 5 in points per game, as well as points per game allowed last season. That trend hasn't continued. Baltimore's defense has been unrecognizable this season, allowing more than 25 points per game. To make matters worse, the team has allowed the most passing yards per game in the NFL, allowing just over 30 yards more per contest than the second worst team in Jacksonville. A non-contact ankle injury to all-pro safety Kyle Hamilton will only magnify that issue. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP for a reason, so the Ravens will most likely continue to compete in the AFC. But Joe Burrow made it evident last night, if Superman can't find his cape under center, the Ravens may run into trouble like they did last year. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. If you're ever worried about the safety of your home and your family, there's no better time to act than right now. Get 60% off a new Simply Safe security system. Old school alarm systems only kick in once somebody is already inside your home. Simply Safe stops crime in real time. They have something called Active Guard Outdoor Protection. To get 60% off any new system with a select professional monitoring plan, go to simplysafedan.com. That's simplysafedan.com. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Hey, are you a whiskey lover? If so, you have to try the new Keeper's Heart whiskey. Keeper's Heart is one of the first to blend Irish and American whiskey, and it's really good. So good, in fact. Keeper's Heart has been recognized as one of the world's best whiskeys for the way it brings together the boldness of American whiskey with the smoothness of Irish whiskey. It's the perfect matchup. Keeper's Heart is a legend in the making. Trust us, you gotta try it. Drink responsibly.
Boy.
Hey, Phoenix, Doug Gottlieb here. I'm bringing the best sports talk weekdays to you, 1 to 3 p.m., right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back to the show. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. We've got you until 1 o'clock here today on a Football Friday edition of the show. And it is time for us to lock the picks in for the week. It is the Week 10 Schubert 6. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Last week, it wasn't a terrible week. We went 3-3. 14 out of a possible 21 points. So we left 7 points on the board. That's not great, but it's not terrible. Overall, we are just the beacon of consistency. We are 9-9 since we've started the show. So 500, 36 out of a possible 63 points. So the goal here is to do two things. The goal here is to be above 500 overall. And the goal here is to make sure that if you're going to go 500, that you win the 6, 5, and 4 point plays. That's the point. The point is to win the ones that you have the most confidence in. Now, we've already got 4 points locked up for this week. So we've already got 4 out of a possible 21 ready to go because we had the Bengals plus 6.5 against the Ravens. So we only have 5 plays to make this week. And we will start with our 1 point play. Look, I mentioned this when we did the NFL look ahead in hour number 1 of the program, that this team has played such a good style of football. They are excelling at what they are trying to do as a team. It does not lend to very many blowouts. It doesn't lend to them covering a number this large. But the Titans have announced that Will Levis is the starting quarterback, so I think I'm good for at least 2 turnovers in this game. Justin Herbert's playing great football, 10 touchdowns, 1 interception. This is a big number. And it is only a big number because the Chargers can dominate this game for 4 quarters, and we could be looking up at a 17-10 game in the 4th quarter and be worried about a push or be worried about the Titans kicking an early field goal and then 17-13 we're losing. But the Titans are a bad team. They're going on the road. The Chargers have found themselves since that Monday night loss to the Cardinals. So as my 1 point play, and again, it is my 1 point play because the number is large in comparison to the team. Look, I have a game that is a higher point allocation later on that is a bigger number than this, so that it's not necessarily the 7 that scares me. It's the team that I'm taking that scares me. So as my 1 point play, I think they win the game, and I think they win it pretty easily. But I could see the Titans keeping this game close because of the way the Chargers play, but I will take the Chargers -7 as my 1 point play this weekend. My 2 point play, you don't have your starting quarterback. You haven't played well with the starting quarterback. I like the other side in this game. I like what Aaron Jones has brought to the table. I like what Justin Jefferson has brought to the table. I don't think they're a juggernaut in the NFC, but I think they are a good football team. And I think when good football teams play bad football teams, and those bad football teams potentially are going to be without their starting quarterback for these games, meaning Trevor Lawrence probably is not going to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I even think if Trevor does play in this game, I'm still not that worried about it. Give me the Vikings minus the 6.5 as my 2 point play this weekend. My 3 point play, I mentioned a bigger number. I mentioned there being a number larger than the Chargers that I like this week. And I was on this team before. I bought into this team being able to keep a big number close. I thought their defense was going to be too strong for the number, that it was going to be a competitive game because of how good the defense was. And to bet for the Kansas City Chiefs is a question mark. They've played a lot of close games this season. You look at their schedule, a 6-point win against the Bucs, 7-point win against the Raiders, a couple of big wins, 10 points against the 49ers, a 13-point win against the Saints. But other than that, a touchdown win against the Chargers, a 5-point win against the Falcons, a 1-point win against the Bengals, a touchdown win against the Ravens. They have not been blowing teams out. They have been playing teams relatively close. I think at home, division opponent, I think they're ready to make a statement. The statement that they have not been able to make so far this season. So my 3-point play is the Kansas City Chiefs minus 7.5. I have already been on the other side where I have said that the Broncos defense can keep a game close. I am no longer going to be on that side after what I saw the Baltimore Ravens do. And this doesn't mean a whole lot, but the Chiefs did beat the Ravens. And if the Ravens were able to do that to the Broncos, what are the Chiefs going to be able to do? And it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be 41-10. I'll take a nice 10-point win. I'll take a nice 20-10 victory for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll be very happy with that. That'll feel very good to start the day. So I will take the Chiefs minus 7.5 as my 3-point play. We mentioned the 4-point play already. We had the Bengals last night plus 6.5 against the Ravens. So we've already put 4 points away out of a possible 21 this weekend. So now we get to the big ones. We get to our 5 and our 4-point play. Now the 5-point play was almost the 6-point play. And the 6-point play was almost a 5-point play. I have flipped back and forth between these two games all week long. I'm going to bet with a team that is hot right now. I am going to bet with a team that has won 4 in a row. And I'm going to bet with a team that when they've played inferior opponents recently, they've done what they're supposed to do against those teams. The team beat the Seahawks 31-10. On the road, took care of business. This team was at home against the Titans. It took a little bit to get there, but they won the football game and they covered. They won 34-10. They played with their food a little bit against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins, they're probably better than their record indicates because of the injury to Tua. The Jets, they only beat by 3, but the Jets that was one of the better games the Jets have played this season. I like the Buffalo Bills against the Indianapolis Colts. Look, the Colts are just a middle-of-the-road team. Last 2 weeks, they lost to the Vikings on Sunday Night Football, 21-13. They lost to the Texans, 23-20. They barely beat the Titans. They lost to the Jags. They barely beat the Steelers. They're just a middle-of-the-road, up-and-down team. I know the Bills aren't going to have Keon Coleman. I don't think it matters. Josh Allen has figured it out. He's thrown it to whoever. 17 touchdowns and 2 interceptions so far this season. Despite getting rid of Stephon Diggs, I think their offense has gotten better. This is only 4. So a touchdown, I'm fine. I like the Bills in this one to cover the 4 points. So my 5-point play, the Bills minus the 4, and then the 6-point play. I told you this was the game to make sure that you had a separate screen for. I told you that I picked the game in the early window, late window, and then obviously with the Sunday night game, I said these are the games that I would be focusing on if I was able to sit at home all day on Sunday and pick what games I will be watching. Now, I will not be doing so. I will be consuming football with the masses on Sunday. My dad's in town. We're going to Jets Cardinals. We have already picked out our spot to enjoy the 11 o'clock slate, probably at a Buffalo Wild Wings or something all the way out there in Glendale. So I don't get the luxury of doing this, but if you had the luxury, I would be watching Steelers Commanders, and I am sorry. The disrespect that is being shown to the Washington Commanders will not stand on this show. It will not be allowed on this program. I will not stand for it. The Washington Commanders are 7-2. They are 4-0 at home. They are a team that has exceeded expectations. They have gone all in by trading for Marshawn Lattimore. He is not going to play, but it looks like they're going to get Brian Robinson Jr. back. He did not practice today, but we will keep an eye on that for Sunday. I don't think it matters. They've been able to handle things without Brian Robinson Jr. We talked about last week against the Giants. We thought that number was too low. It ended up being close, but our theory was right because they were dominating that game through the first 3 quarters. The Giants were able to make it close late. They still covered 27-22, and I'm sorry. At some point, you are what your record says you are. They were 8th in the power rankings that we did this week. I am not diminishing anything that the Steelers are doing. One team is 7-2, one team is 6-2, and I don't think these two teams could be further from each other. I do not get the same vibe from both of these teams. I get the vibe from the Pittsburgh Steelers is that they grind. They're able to just kind of find ways to win, but it's not pretty. It's ugly, and I don't know if that can last. And I certainly don't think it can last when you're taking on a team like the Washington Commanders, who have taken care of business early this season. Beat the Panthers 40-7. When you're supposed to win, you take care of business. The Hail Mary against the Bears, what they did against the Giants. They played the Browns, took care of business. Played the Cardinals, took care of business. Won a shootout with the Bengals. This team has done what they are supposed to do time and time again, and I think 2.5 is disrespectful. They don't even get the courtesy 3 at home. They're not even a 3-point favorite at home. No, thank you. My 6-point play for the second straight week. The Washington Commanders are the 6-point play for the show. Give me the Commanders minus the 2.5. Yes, that's right, 2.5. All I have to do is win this game by a field goal. Yes, the Washington Commanders will do so. They will cover the 2.5. So to recap, the 1-point play, and we will do this for the social media audience. The 1-point play, the Chargers -7 against the Titans. The Vikings, the 2-point play -6.5 against the Jags. The Chiefs are a 3-point play -7.5 against the Broncos. Our 5-point play, the Bills -4, and our 6-point play, Commanders -2.5. So our 1-point play, the Chargers -7. They'll be able to run away with things late, even though it scares me with the way that they play football. They're the 1-point play. The 2-point play, the Vikings -6.5 against a Jags team that is more than likely going to be without Trevor Lawrence. Even if he does play, I'm not that concerned about it. The 3-point play, the Chiefs -7.5 against the Broncos. The Broncos defense failed me in the past. The Chiefs will take care of business. This will be their breakout game. This will be them showing the world that, yes, we need to be taken seriously as an unbeaten. We've already got our 4-point play with the Bengals +6.5 against the Ravens. Our 5-point play, the Bills, they're rolling. Only 4-point favorites against a mediocre Colts team. I will take them -4. And the Commanders for the second straight week are our 6-point play, less than a field goal favorite at home against the Steelers. If they win this game by a field goal or more, that is your Week 10 Schubert 6. We will see if we can turn the corner and get hot here down the stretch. Coming up on the other side, if the Cardinals lose on Sunday, what will be the reasons why? We'll get into that next here on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Catch the Doug Gottlieb Show weekdays from 1 to 3 p.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060 and online at KDUS1060.com.
License number 146316. I'm back in action!
What in the...
Oh, Tasha! I got my magical operations license back.
Does that mean your lamp passed inspection?
Yes!
I'm so happy for you, Jeannie.
They even said that they would be responsible if anything fails for the next 500 years.
Great news.
That's the same as ASAP commercial doors. Right, Tasha?
If we inspect your door and everything is working properly, we will take responsibility for it.
Amazing!
Jeannie, why are you laughing like that?
Because now the stupid Genie High Council can go suck an egg.
Jeannie?
ASAP commercialdoors.com. The council is a bunch of jerks.
Don't think you should say that.
This holiday season, the Arizona Lottery is celebrating the little things with holiday scratchers like joy, happiness, giving, and a dash of fun. With the chance to win up to $500,000 and an all-expense-paid trip to Hawaii with the Hawaiian Holiday Giveaway. Give the gift of joy with Arizona Lottery's Holiday Scratchers. Visit ArizonaLottery.com to find a retailer near you.
You want a sub freshly sliced to order? You go to Jersey Mike's. You want the perfect radio idea? You go to me. Like this. I'm a lone ninja warrior. By night, I glide unseen across the rooftops, watching my enemies from the shadows. By day, I go to Jersey Mike's, watching someone freshly slice my sub. My blade is called Shadow. His blade is a Berserba brand meat slicer. Clearly, I have much to learn about this land. Freshly sliced just for you. Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
Every day, safe, prepared, informed. Every day, safety is our top priority. At APS, we consistently make updates to our electrical system to keep our crews and customers safe around electricity. Remember these tips. Put safety covers on wall outlets. Call 811 before you dig to have the location of underground wires marked. And stay at least 100 feet away from downed power lines. For more ways to stay safe around electricity, visit aps.com/brighter.
You may not have any experience dealing with car wrecks, but Learn on Row does. After your car wreck, you need an attorney to make sure your interests, like car repairs, medical bills, and lost wages, are protected. Finding the right attorney is actually easy. Just look for reputation, experience, and results. Learn on Row has thousands of 5-star reviews, decades of experience, and we've recovered billions of dollars for our injured clients. Hurt in a wreck and need a check? Call Learn on Row today.
Learner and Row is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Every Monday night, check out Ray Adams as he hosts the Monday Night Golf and Lifestyle Show from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Welcome back to the program. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060. Chris Schubert here with you. We've got you till the top of the hour on this Football Friday. In hour number one of the show, we gave you the case for a Cardinals victory this Sunday, what it would look like, what would be our topics of conversation on Monday. We were looking into the crystal ball a little bit and saying, hey, when we get to Monday's show, if the Cardinals win on Sunday against the Jets, what's going to be our storyline? What are the things that we're going to be talking about when it comes to this team? Well, in the interest of fairness, let's look at the other side. If the Cardinals slip back to 500, if they halt the momentum of what has been this winning streak for the Arizona Cardinals with their half-game lead over the 49ers and Seahawks in the division, if that momentum is going to get halted and they're not going to get to a 4-game winning streak, if it's going to stop at 3, why is it going to happen? What are going to be our talking points? By the way, the Cardinals winning 3 straight for the first time since 2021. So it's been a long time since they've gone on a run like this, and a 29-9 win put them over the top. And so I think it's going to be a lot about the New York Jets. This is not going to be a conversation where I talk a lot about what the Cardinals can or cannot do. There are obviously things that they can do, and there's obviously things that if they don't do, it's going to lead towards them losing the football game. But it just all goes back to, do you believe the Jets found something last Thursday? Do you believe that after a first half that saw Aaron Rodgers have one of the worst first halves he's ever had, 7 of 14 for 32 yards, that is the fewest that he has had in a opening 2 quarters with 10 or more attempts in his career. So numbers that we've never seen. So when we talk about the Jets riding high and maybe finding something, it was in the second half of that game because the first half wasn't particularly good. First half, they had a bunch of turnovers. They had a receiver drop the ball in Malachi Corley before he crossed the plane for a touchdown. Was not good in the first half. Good in the second half, not good in the first half. So remember, 7 of 14 for 32 yards in the first half. He ended the game 22 of 32 for 211 and 3 touchdowns. So what we have to decide right now is what version of the Jets show up on Sunday. And if the Cardinals lose, it's the version of the New York Jets that you saw in the second half. It's the version of the New York Jets where Garrett Wilson makes 2 incredible catches to score touchdowns. It's the version of the New York Jets where Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers are on the same page and he's icing the game on a double move touchdown to seal the deal. That's the version of the New York Jets that shows up. The Jets defense, even with rushing 4, finds pressure. They get home. They're disciplined against Kyler Murray. They slow down James Conner. Jeff Ulbrich, the coach, we listened to Coach yesterday, but he said something today. I wish I had the cut of it, but he talked about how they specifically this week, and this is going to show you why I said in the win conditions for the Cardinals, James Conner, and more James Conner. Jeff Ulbrich talked about how they did like multiple demonstrations this week on how to tackle and how to deal with James Conner out in space. You think the New York Jets understand what the philosophy is and what the plan is in order to win this game on Sunday? Jeff Ulbrich talked about how he's their team, not in a negative way, just as that's the guy you got to focus on. If you don't stop him, you don't stand a chance. And so if the Jets are able to do that, if their defense is able to slow down James Conner. If with 4 rushers, they're able to get home, freeing up DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner to be able to make plays on the back end. If that version of the New York Jets shows up, if the second half against the Texans Jets show up, the Cardinals could be in for a long day. And that's how the Jets feel about this game, right? The Jets feel like they found something in the second half. This is going to be the proof of whether or not they did that. This is going to be the answer to the test question of have they turned a corner? Are they on an upswing? We know the Cardinals are on an upswing. There's no question about that. Winning 3 in a row, first time since 2021, in first place, the way they've played the last 3 weeks, they are a team that's trending upward. They've answered that question. It's one thing to beat the Chargers at home on Monday Night Football. It's another to bounce back and then beat the Dolphins on the road and then come back home and beat the Bears and dominate the way that you did. That's a team that's on an upswing. That's a team that's on a run. The Jets are trying to answer the question of, are they a team on the upswing? Are they a team that is trending in the right direction? Are they still alive in the playoff race? They're 1-4 on the road this season, 3-6 overall. So which version of the Jets shows up on Sunday? If the version of the Jets that played against literally just the Houston Texans, I think that's the only example that you can look at. They had fourth quarter opportunities against the Vikings that they missed on. They had a fourth quarter opportunity against the Broncos that they missed on. They had opportunities against the Bills that they missed on in the fourth quarter. Then you look at that stretch of Broncos, Vikings, Bills. They had the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to win all of those games, and they failed. And then against the Steelers, a decent first half, and then a bad turnover from Aaron Rodgers opened the door for the Steelers to blow them out. And then again, against the Patriots, Rodgers leads them down. They take the lead, and then the defense gives it up. All of that happened before they beat the Texans. You have to go all the way. So take the Texans game off the table. You have to go all the way back to September 19th for the last Jets win. So the wins have been few and far between for this Jets team. So this all boils back down to which version of the New York Jets shows up on Sunday. And I've seen enough Jets football this season. I consider myself an expert on the team, more so than any other opponent we're going to preview for the Arizona Cardinals this season. This one I know pretty well. And this team has been too inconsistent. And so if the Cardinals lose on Sunday, it's going to be because the Jets show up. They play that style of football that they played in the second half against the Texans. The offensive line is healthy and is a cohesive unit, and they're not needing to rotate guys in and out. They don't need to have Olu Fashanu playing guard when he was drafted to be a tackle. He's never played guard before. They're not committing dumb penalties that are extending drives for the Cardinals or are slowing their momentum on offense. They are not burning timeouts and having all sorts of clock management and game management miscues. Their defense shows up, balls out, plays the way that they did, bend but don't break against the Houston Texans. They win the turnover battle, and they just play clean football. That's the way the Jets win the game and the Cardinals lose the game on Sunday, is the Jets play the cleanest version of football that they have played this year. And there's just too big of a sample size right now in the other direction. Now, the other way the Jets win this game is despite maybe the Jets not having their A game or not looking like the team against the Texans, that the Cardinals keep the door open. Turnovers, penalties, and those wouldn't be new things. The Cardinals have had games where the penalties have reared their ugly head. They've cleaned them up recently, but if those things come back, if those things pop up seemingly out of nowhere, that's going to allow the Jets to hang around. They're too talented of a team. They're too talented of a team to get blown out. Rodgers, even if he plays poorly, they're good enough defensively, and they do just enough offensively to keep the game close. So if the Cardinals keep the door open, that's a way for maybe finally the Jets break through, they kick the door down, and they have that fourth quarter comeback. So that's the other way that they could win this game. And I think you can hear it in my voice which way I'm leaning. I've picked the Cardinals all week long. I'm not changing that opinion. I'm just not sold yet that the New York Jets have turned a corner. I know everybody in the national media would love for that to be the case because of all the national games that they've given the New York Jets, although they flexed out their Sunday night game that they have against the Colts coming up. Rightly so, because now we've reached a part of the season where games can be flexed in and out of Sunday Night Football. And interesting to see if the Cardinals find themselves flexed into some more primetime games on Sunday night if they start playing, if they continue to play this style of football. If they stay 6-4, I wonder if that game in a couple of weeks against the Seahawks or one of those games against the Seahawks gets flexed into Sunday night. A real opportunity for them to have the national stage. So the national media is clamoring for the Jets to be relevant. They would love for the Jets to win this game. And Vegas is kind of telling you that they think the Jets are going to win this football game. Just like they said it against the Texans. This line opened. This tells you where everybody else, the gambling community, the sports betting community hasn't caught up yet to what you and I have been watching for the last couple of weeks. This line opened at -1.5. The Cardinals opened at -1.5 point favorites at home. It has completely flipped to the Jets currently are -1.5 according to ESPN Bet. Opened at -1.5 for the Cardinals. They're now 1.5 point dogs. A 3-point swing towards the New York Jets. That shows you how much the Jets were being hammered by sports bettors in Vegas and here in Arizona and in any of the states where sports betting is legal. The Jets are being hammered to where it flipped 3 points from Cardinals -1.5 to Jets -1.5. An absolute wild turn of events. And I gave you the path. I don't believe in it. I don't think it's going to play itself out on Sunday, but that's the path if the Jets are going to win this game and they're going to cover as 1.5 point favorites on the road in this game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. It's my first Jets game in a really long time. First time I've been out to State Farm Stadium in a really long time. So excited to get out there and see what the buzz is, right? There's a buzz about this team. They're 5-4. There's a real opportunity for them to make some noise here in the second half. So I can't wait to see what the fan base is like. Can't wait to see what that stadium is like on Sunday. On the other side, we wrap up this edition of the Lunch Break, KDUS AM 1060.
Check out KDUS AM 1060 on 100.7 KSLX HD2. That's right, HD radio on 100.7 channel number 2.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
Labrie, Mayog, Petrucci, Portnoy, Rudis. Dream Theater, 40th Anniversary Tour. February 18th at Arizona Financial Theater. Dream Theater. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Don't miss Dream Theater, 40th Anniversary Tour.
HD Radio is here for KDUS AM 1060. Check out your favorite shows and games on 100.7 KSLX HD2.
Welcome back to the program, wrapping up today's edition of the lunch break, wrapping up another great week here on the lunch break. And if you missed anything, we've got a couple of different ways for you to catch up on it. You could obviously do it via the podcast feed. Just search the lunch break wherever you get your podcast. And we podcast both hours of the show every single day. So you have an opportunity to catch up there. You can also catch up on the YouTube side of things. Just go to YouTube. KDUS AM 1060 is what you put into the search bar. You subscribe to us over there. You can catch all of the shows in their entirety via playback. So all of the live shows that we put up on the YouTube, and we live stream the show every single day. You have an opportunity to catch up over there. But we also chop up the show into digestible segments based on the sport. And so, for example, today, potentially maybe you missed the conversation we had at the start of hour number 2 about Zac Gallen's future with the team. We're going to cut that segment up, and it's going to go up there. And so you can catch up on all of your favorite team's content in relation to the show. So go ahead and do that. And subscribe to us, KDUS AM 1060 on YouTube. Also, download the KDUS AM 1060 app for your chance to win a gift card, a $100 gift card to Von Hansen. So all you got to do is download the app, sign up, register, and listen on the app. So if you're listening to the show not on the app as it is, listen on the app and you have an opportunity to win prizes. And so you got to register and be logged in when you're listening. But we're giving away Von Hansen's $100 gift card. We're going to pull that after the show today. So on Monday, I can shout out that winner here on the show, and we're going to continue to do that, I believe, through the rest of the year. So do yourself a favor. If you're listening to the show via one of the variety of ways and you want an opportunity to win some prizes, get on over to the KDUS AM 1060 app, download it, register, sign up, and listen to the show there. And we're working very much so on getting all the video stuff up there as well. So that'll be your one-stop shop for everything there. So do us a favor, download the app today. You want to get into the show right before we wrap up. 480-864-1060 is the number. Last call for your ability to get in here on a Football Friday edition of the show. And we spent a lot of time talking about football. We took one time out for baseball. Now we are into the leftovers. And this is where we get to all of the stuff that we didn't get to throughout the previous 7 segments of the show. And let's start with the basketball team that is in action tonight, as the Phoenix Suns will start that big test that we've been previewing all week long. Even in despite of some of the games that they've been playing, we've soft circled this test for the Suns, and they are in action tonight against the Dallas Mavericks, starting this stretch where they are going to play 5 of their next 6 games on the road. And unfortunately, it looks like they are going to do so without rookie Ryan Dunn. He is listed as doubtful with an ankle injury, and so doesn't look like he's going to play tonight against the Mavs, and that is a huge blow. He has been awesome for this team. He is only 8th on the team in total minutes, but 5th in three-pointers attempted, 45.5% from behind the three-point line. He has got a 106.1 defensive rating and a 6.2 net rating. He has just been awesome for this team. He has been as advertised. He has been exactly what this team has needed. They drafted him to be a 3 and D guy. The question was, would he just be a D guy, or would the 3 show up with him? The 3 has shown up with him in the early going, and that's made him a very easy play for Mike Budenholzer. But he is listed as doubtful with that left ankle sprain for Friday's game. Now, he did make the trip with the team. Now, he's going on this trip. I think they come home for a home game, and then it's 4 in a row on the road. So him making the trip is interesting, but him being listed as doubtful tells you all that you need to know, that he is not going to more than likely participate in this game. And so a huge blow for this team right as they're facing this critical test, because we wondered what his role could be for this team. Would his lack of offensive prowess limit what he could offer to Mike Budenholzer? Would it make him unplayable at key times where the team needs maybe offense to get back into the game, and he just is now not an option because he can't provide that in addition to his defense? Well, you give him all the credit in the world, because he has completely turned his offensive game around. His shot is so different from where it was when he was leaving Virginia. I watched there was early on in the season, I think it was after like game 3 or 4, there was a clip that went somewhat viral on social media, and it was the first 30 seconds of it were Ryan Dunn free throw attempts and Ryan Dunn shots in college his last year at Virginia. And then it was him in the early couple of games of the preseason and in the regular season. It was like I was watching two different players play the sport. So you have to give all the credit in the world to him for what he has been able to accomplish in just one little offseason with the Suns coaching staff to get to a place where he's able to be that much of a contributor. So much so that he's a big loss for this team, right? Him not being there, him not being able to provide a guy who attempts the fifth most threes. Think about it. A team that has Grayson Allen, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, guys that are Royce O'Neal, like guys that you bring that are, we know what this offensive philosophy is going to be, shoot to three. He's fifth on the team in threes attempted. So he's feeling confident. The coaching staff is confident in him. He's out there. He's making and taking these shots for the team. And so he has been so impactful in the early going that it is a huge loss for this team to be without him. But I think this is a good decision by the Suns to take it easy. You have a 7-1 start. He is a rookie. This is where you can take your foot a little bit off the gas pedal and understand it's a marathon, not a sprint. You can't win the championship in November, but you can certainly lose it if you lose players by forcing them back into the lineup. So it is disappointing. It is upsetting that he is going to be out with an ankle injury. And truly, like, for this team, this is really the first bit of bad news we've seen this season. They're 7-1 to start the year, top seed in the West. They've played good enough basketball to be in this spot. They've overcome these deficits. They've overcome bad nights from Devin Booker. Like, they've just been able to be a successful basketball team. There hasn't been a lot of conversation where we've come in here and been negative about this team. This is really the first time that we're negative, and it's because of an injury. And so hopefully the team can step up. You certainly know what Kevin Durant's going to bring to the table. You know what Devin Booker's going to bring to the table, Bradley Beal. You know what these guys are going to bring to the table. Somebody's going to need to step up. Maybe it's Josh Okogie who steps up. We'll see what Mike Budenholzer's rotation looks like tonight when they take on the Dallas Mavericks. The leftovers are a time where we get into random stories that we didn't get to throughout the show. And I saw this story during one of the breaks. Felt like the perfect leftover story. And I have a anecdote about this. New York sports books accepted, I hope you're sitting down for this, $2.3 billion worth of bets in October. That is a new a monthly record for any state. So any of the states that have legalized sports betting, the $2.3 billion that New York accepted in October is the monthly record. The previous record was $2.1 million that was wagered in November of 2023. Now, this shouldn't be a surprise. Football, let's just look at it from New York's perspective. Football underway already. So you had the Jets, the Giants, the Bills. So you had the New York teams in action. So most sports bettors, most that do it casually, that do it for fun, are doing it with their local teams, right? They're watching the Jets and they're like, oh, you know what? I want a Garrett Wilson anytime touchdown, or they want to build a parlay of a bunch of stuff. You're going to bet the team that you know the best, right? That's the people like me who are degenerates, who have the Schubert 6, that had stuff in last night's game. I've got it all. But your casual, which makes up the majority of the money that's going to come in, they're going to bet the teams that they watch. So you had football with Jets, with the Giants, with the Bills. Basketball started. You have two basketball teams in New York with the Knicks and the Nets. Same thing I just said about the football teams apply to the basketball teams. Hockey started. And in New York, you have the Buffalo Sabres. You have the New York Islanders. You have the New York Rangers. You have the New Jersey Devils. And you have fans of those teams that live on Long Island, live in the city, live in upstate New York. And then also you had two baseball teams in New York making championship runs. The Yankees making it to the World Series, the Mets falling 2 games short of going to the World Series. All of that was going on in October. That's what, 10 teams I mentioned? And that doesn't include all the other stuff that's going on. So it's not a surprise that with all of those teams in action, with two New York sports teams making a World Series push, with football getting underway, basketball getting underway, hockey getting underway, that you could see $2.3 billion in bets accepted. It was the second consecutive month and the fifth month overall that had more than $2 billion in bets for the New York sports books. No other state, that includes ours, has eclipsed the $2 billion mark in a month. And the story mentions Yankees, Mets making the playoffs, and then you had the start of two seasons. And oh, by the way, football. And I wonder when the rest of the states will get on board. My dad, originally from New York, it's where I was born and raised. That's why I have an anecdote about this story. And $2.3 billion being bet in New York sports books. Lived in New York his entire life, my entire life. I grew up in New York. I moved out here. He stayed in New York. Sports books legal in New York. This man loved it. Just loved being able to just place bets, have action on whatever you can have action on, right? Moves to South Carolina. South Carolina, not a state where sports betting is legal. Can't do it. Can't even open the apps. He is currently, I believe as we speak, on a flight and is landing here later. We're going to the Jets game on Sunday. Producer Dylan, I can't tell you the number of conversations that I've had this week with this man where he wants to know where the sports books are located, whether or not the apps will work here. He's going to bet on things that I don't even think he's going to watch a single second of. He's just going to be so excited to be in a state where sports betting is legal again. Because I told him, I said, well, when we go to the stadium, there's a book there. Like you can place your bets and get the paper tickets. He is so excited to just be back. I think truly, I think he's more excited about that he is seeing me and going to the game on Sunday. I think he is more excited about the prospects of helping potentially get Arizona to the $2 billion mark in a month for the month of November because of the influx of money that he's going to bring to the table. But that's all he's been talking about this week. I called him this morning. He was leaving South Carolina, getting on his first of two flights, was already planning when he got off the plane. And the fact that the first place he's going is Detroit, where sports betting is legal there in Michigan, he's already kind of charting out what he's going to do. And he's going to be here for 3 days. He leaves Monday. He's going to get an entire year's worth in just a couple of days. So I'm not surprised that in New York, you could get to $2.3 billion. I'm not surprised with the amount of people, the seasons that were going on with the Yankees and the Mets making a World Series run, NBA, NHL starting. Yes, I'm not surprised that they cleared $2 billion. Now, now this is where they get you, because the New York sportsbooks on that $2.3 billion, they won a net $176 million off of that number. Now that was down 14% from their win in September, but still, people bet $2.3 billion, and the books won $176.4 million off of that. And by the way, October was really good for the betting public when it comes to the NFL market. Now that has not hit us here on the Schubert 6. The Schubert 6 is kind of we're in the middle of the road here. We haven't really gotten hot. And if you missed the Schubert 6, it'll be on our social media channels later. Oh, and by the way, I was doing a lot of teasing, a lot of promoting here at the start of the segment. All of our social channels, besides the YouTube, we got a Twitter account where we post some content. We post some poll questions. We've got an Instagram account. We've got a TikTok account. So we've got social media content going up every single day here from the show. And so if you haven't followed us on all those social media channels, please go ahead and do so. The content keeps on flowing even after the show is over. So Instagram, TikTok, we've got the YouTube, the Twitter. Make sure that you follow us on all of those social media channels, because the content that we take clips from the show, some of the best moments, we put them up there, and there's more stuff down the road. Super excited for what 2025 is going to bring for the show. Already got a bunch of plans for 2025. So really excited where we're going to take this show, this brand, this station in 2025. And hopefully the Schubert 6 is one of those things that takes off here at the end of the year. Because it's a staple segment. You don't want it to go down the tubes in a hurry. But that's going to do it. Another week in the books. So Football Friday in the books. We're back on Monday to react to it all. And hopefully we have some Schubert 6 wins to discuss as well. You missed anything, check us out in the podcast feed. Just search The Lunch Break. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend. We appreciate you joining us on your lunch break during our lunch break. Have a good weekend. We'll see you on Monday.